Hey friends, how's it going? This is David Potts with Song Notes here, and this is an entry in my practice log. And this is the sort of type of video where I show you what I'm working on from week to week and sort of just share the progress of the zigzaggy line that can be learning music, right? Because it's not always a straight line when you're getting there. You look back and you're like, oh, I see where I came from, and I can give recommendations to others on how to get there, like these videos, wink, wink. But otherwise, this video, practice log, I want to talk about backing tracks, right? And in the last week or so, I've really broken through into a new way of practicing that's new for me, which is using backing tracks. And maybe one or two times in the past year, I've messed around with them. Before that, not really ever. So it's kind of been a fun thing, and it really, it puts a wind in my sails. And just the last couple of days of practicing, I feel like there's all these new sort of things I can't wait to try, right? So I want to capture this moment in time in this video. And I will say that the track I'm using in this lesson is available for you. You can look for the link in the comments of this video. And everything I'm going to show you in this video, and also I'm going to have a separate Tennessee whiskey lesson that's going to have the same backing track. So that's going to be a resource available to you. But let me talk about sort of how I got into this and some of the fun ways that you can use a backing track. And again, I'll be looking at Tennessee Whiskey, the Chris Stapleton version. Okay, it's a great song because it's so restrained and simple. There's, you have a bass, you have a rhythm guitar, you have a lead guitar, and you have drums. Now, if you don't use a backing track, you can sort of mimic all those things with just your solo acoustic guitar, which I will show you. But if you have the backing track to play in the background, what it does is it helps you keep a beat, number one. But beyond that, you can sort of, use the drums and the bass and the rhythm and the lead in the backing track to sort of steer the ship, so to speak. And you can go along for the ride. And you can work on your rhythm, right? Or you can work on your lead guitar. You can work on the bass line, or whatever the skill is you want to hone. You can use the backing track as a practice aid. And again, I'm going to sort of show you how I've been doing that. So this won't be a lesson for Tennessee Whiskey per se. I'm going to save that for a separate video. But I do want to give a quick overview of the song just so you understand what we're talking about. Okay, so big picture, we're going to be in standard tuning, right? It's in the key of A, and it's just two chords for the entire song, right? We're going to have 6 counts per measure, right? The first 2 measures are going to be A, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and B minor. And we're going to stay on this for 4 measures, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 2, 3, 4. Then back to A for 2 measures, okay? So I just played 8 bars there, 2 bars of A, 4 bars of B minor, 2 bars of A. And then it repeats over and over and over again, right? So it's nice and simple as far as the progression and everything. Now you will have to know your A and your B minor. That might be a tricky chord for you, but provided you know that, let's look at now just sort of some of the things we can work on. So first up, there's this rhythm piece, right? So the song is in 6/8 time, so we're going to have 6 counts per measure, right? And the 4 count is really what gets that accent. So if we didn't have a backing track and it was just our acoustic guitar, what I would recommend doing is just sort of holding the strings lightly, so you have a muted strum, and then just count that 6 beats per measure count, but accent the 4, right? The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a great way to not worry about the chord shapes yet, not worry about any of the stuff with your left hand, just worry about feeling the groove. And if you're having trouble staying in time with your right hand, this is where the backing track can be of aid. So I'm going to put on the backing track now, and I'm going to just sort of jump in and do the muted strumming on top of it and try to stay in time with the backing track. And you might find that when you're doing this, you might find yourself playing a little bit slow, you're ahead of the beat. Other times you might find yourself sort of struggling to catch up and the beat is leaving you behind. And that's kind of the key of using the backing track, is you can sort of focus on what you want. So in this case, the rhythm. Let's try it out, right? So I'm going to hit play. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One thing you might run into is a bit of a overzealousness when it comes to that 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Even though you're accenting the 4 count, you don't want to rush it, okay? Usually there's a tendency when you're playing something loud is to do it fast, right? And you'll be ahead of the beat and that won't sound good, right? But that's just the sort of, that's sort of the rhythm. Now say we wanted to work on our strumming, right? So now the Chris Stapleton version of this song, he has a down, up, 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 1, 2, and 2 and 3 and 4, 5. We could bring in our actual chords, right? Right, but if you just did that strumming pattern in this whole progression, I didn't even go through the whole progression there once, I did half of it, it's gonna get really tired if you're just by yourself. You get tired in that it's gonna get boring because you're kind of doing a very monotonous strumming pattern because, in the album version of this song, he's playing that strumming pattern knowing he has a full band around him. But what we can do is bring in the backing track and we can do that same strumming pattern, the down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And we're gonna be switching chords this time. And this will be a good practice of switching to chords and staying in time, all right? And also just playing a consistent tone. Try to keep the volume steady wherever you're playing. Make sure you can still hear the backing track, but don't play too quietly so you're not contributing at all. So here we go, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Down, up, 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 down. Okay, so that's one thing you might want to practice if you want to work on your just straight up rhythm guitar. Now, something else might be the sort of bass line we have here, right? Okay, now if you have a full band with you and you have a bassist can play that and it sounds nice and good. Now the backing track will do this for us, but if you want to practice just a nice little bass line groove like that, you can put the backing track on and play that bass line. So I'll do that one time. All right, with the count in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. That was ahead of the count. Okay, now that might seem really simple and almost like child's play, perhaps. That's kind of what part of my brain does when I do it, but yet I do that and I mess up. Even when I start talking, it's like it reveals your weakness. I start losing the count immediately. And it's just a good thing if you want to work on your timing, and it's a muscle that you can't really over practice, especially if you're not used to it, is put on this track, it's gonna keep perfect time, and you just try to play along with it. And the bass note's nice because it's a way to practice your timing and practice your feel, right? It's just, a couple simple notes there. You're not having to worry about doing the chord shapes, the B minor and the A. That can get kind of tiring on your hands. It's really easy on your left hand, but it lets you work on just getting that timing nice and tight with your right hand, okay? So that's a bass note. Now, let me get to the lead, the intro licks you hear, or the licks you hear in the intro to this song, right? Right? That's the first lick. That's the second lick. That's the third one. And then, okay, so that's the fourth one. Now I'm gonna put on the track and we'll do it here. I'm just gonna do this straight up licks, no chords or anything myself. I'll let the backing track take care of that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and you also can do that with chords. On the 4 count. And you can add more bass notes. So in that last playthrough I just did, I noticed that I was sort of, my volume was a bit all over the place. I was getting overexcited, and while I was doing, I think, an okay job staying in time, my volume would kind of get unexpectedly loud, right? And I think that's a sign that basically, you know, I think your brain is almost like you have all these horses or dogs pulling your sled, so to speak. And if you are barely holding it together, right, you might overlook one thing while you're just focusing on another. And that's kind of what's happening, is I'm focusing on timing so much that my volume goes out the window, right? What would happen though with practice is you give that some time, and you'd be able to sort of, you know, predict the times you might run off the rails a little bit and come back to keep things all in line and keep anything from, you don't want to lose the time, you don't want to play too soft, you don't want to play too loud, right? So it's all about practice. But basically, those are all the parts of that backing track. So again, this is available to you. And one thing I'll say about this backing track is it's designed so that there is a 2-measure or 2-bar count-in, where it's just 2 bars of 6 counts each, where nothing else is being played, okay? This will give you time to get a sense of the rhythm, count out the 2 bars, and then after that second measure, then you start the full thing. And in the backing track, there is the sort of, the version I'll post of this backing track online. It's going to have the lead guitar come in for just one playthrough of the 8 bars. So check this out, right? So I'm gonna hit play here, and you're gonna see that right here we have one bar that's empty, and in the second bar, the lead comes in on the 4 count. Okay, so check this out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Okay, and you can just look at the, if you look at the design of this backing track here, you can see that the whole lead sequence is only going to happen one time. It's the 8 bars total. That's when the lead will play. Okay, this is the end of the 8 bars. 4, 5, 6, 1, and then that's the last note the lead track will play. And then the rest of the backing track is just your rhythm guitar. You're gonna have a bass, and you're gonna have the drums, and you can just do what you want on top of it, right? Right, so now if you wanted to look up the solo to this song and learn it, you could put this backing track on and solo over it. All right, so that's going to be it for this entry into my practice log. Again, look for this backing track in the description of this video. You can use it to practice yourself, and I will include all the notes and tabs that accompanied what I just played in my website, playsongnotes.com. It'll link to my Patreon page, where you can find the nice handcrafted PDF for those of you who support me. And those who do support me, thank you so much for your ongoing support. It really means a lot, and it inspires me to get these lessons out and just have fun as a guitarist, and hopefully it's providing value for you too. So again, playsongnotes.com is where I live online. Check me out on YouTube. That's probably where you're watching me. And yeah, otherwise, leave a comment, share this with a friend, and have fun. That's what it's all about, right? So this is David Potts with Song Notes. Have a good night, y'all. I'm gonna turn this puppy on and play myself out into the night. Bye-bye.